Hey guys, welcome back to the Tech Desk. I want to take a little time today and pivot away from the physical security series that I've been putting together over the last few weeks. I think it's time that we start focusing on things that can help us in today's climate. And by that, we know what's going on around the world and how everyone wants to get back to work, get back to play, get back to going into stores, going shopping, going to the movies, even just going to get gas. So what I want to do is I want to take some time to focus on a few new products that are coming to the market, things that can help us as we go forward. One of the things that I've been really hearing a lot about and I really wanted to kind of get some hands on is a camera. No, not a Nikon or Canon or Fuji or a security grade camera, a thermal camera. So this is going to be the first time that I focus a little bit on not only an unboxing of the actual camera, but we're going to do a live demo as well. This will be a two-part series. Today we're going to look at the unboxing. And this is it right here. So I'm going to get this out of this box and we're going to go from there. This is a little bit different than most cameras I've reviewed in the past. They were all security cameras. I'm going to talk about that in a second. This guy comes in its own carrying case. Well packaged. And this is really it. Just a simple styrofoam inserts inside of a cardboard box that houses a nice weatherproof Pelican style case. And to come back to this was the shoulder strap for you to carry it with. I'm not gonna worry about taking that out. So this does look like it's a watertight case, which is really nice. You know, a lot of times you get cases like these that are really good, they're durable, but they don't protect really well if they get wet. And this looks like it will do that. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so the first thing we have is a user manual. And that is gonna be 100% necessary for you to read this. And there's some things that we're going to go over before we start going through some of the other tips, but this does give you a good idea of how to actually make this camera work. So definitely don't throw this away because you're going to need that. All right, a couple of empty pockets here. Looks like places for other accessories that you can add to this. Take out the little one. Simple wall charger. And I believe this is probably going to be a... Yep, just a simple 5-volt charger. Don't know if you can read that or not. So if you got an iPhone laying around, an old iPhone charger, you can keep that as a spare. Side. See, USB-A to USB-C. So we actually have a new age communication cable, which is good. A lot of companies are still using micro USB and some of the old USB mini. It's time to change, people. Another European charger. So if you are actually in Europe and you order this camera, you will get a European charger in the box. All right, looks like that is it. And now I'll take that out. And that's it, guys. Simple as that. Simple case. Now, it's my understanding that you can actually order a battery charging stand and an extra battery in there, so that way you will have both of those. This is a very unique camera. It looks very futuristic. It looks very much like it will be a weapon, but this is not. This is 100% a thermal grade camera. Just give me a couple views. There's battery bottom there, and then there's your back. This is going to be the main thing that we're going to focus on a lot of when we start doing some of the videos, and that's just to kind of show you the interface on here. So as I flip this up, you can now see that you have the thermal lens here, and then up top you have your, on the other side there's an 8 megapixel image sensor in there, so you can actually get a dual image to see the actual person that you're actually seeing the thermal reading on as well. This little wheel on the side is a focus ring, so it helps you to focus in and also dial in that thermal range. It's one thing about thermal cameras, they do have a range in there. And as you notice, there's a trigger right here, and I push that trigger down to actually activate and scan. On the bottom, you press that, there's your rechargeable battery. And the nice thing about this bottom here is you actually can, you know, replace these very quickly right on the fly, and you just basically slide one in, locks in, you're good to go. Now the funny thing about this one is there is a tripod mount right here. So what this will allow you to do is you can mount this on a tripod as if my finger was the tripod here, and now all of a sudden I have a fixed thermal camera, which is a very unique idea of doing this. The cap comes back over and covers the lenses, so you keep those protected from getting any kind of damage. It's a very simple design. See up top, we actually have a USB, and there's your micro SD card slot in there, so you can actually see that. And that's actually where you would charge the camera, but also where you would put a micro SD card to actually record any of your sessions that you have when you're doing your thermal scanning. So I wanted to keep that very short because most of this video is going to be relying on the actual live demo. Everybody wants to see what are people looking at when they're looking through a thermal camera to do some kind of a thermal detection. Think about it from this point. When you get a thermometer, you're close contact. You're either going to put it on your arm or in your mouth, and it's not a really good idea to do that in this day and age. If you use one with the doctor, they have a forehead scanner that you just put on there. That's worth it, and it does work, but the problem is you're still very close to someone when you're doing that, and should they cough or sneeze on you, then you are a little bit more at risk. So having something like this could potentially be game changer. But let's go back for one quick second, because I did want to mention one key thing. This is not a medical device. This is not meant to be a medical device, nor will it ever probably will be a medical device. The FDA has put out guidelines that will allow cameras like these to exist, and they're designed to basically give you a more accurate reading. And that is what the FDA is trying to say. Hey, if you want to use these cameras, they have to follow these guidelines. HIKVISION, along with several other companies, have already put their cameras out, and they do pass these FDA guidelines. So that is a good plus. And one thing you want to keep in mind is when you're looking at a camera like this, is it worth it? They make two versions of this camera. They have one that has a less amount of features, and it doesn't have that second camera, so you don't have that 8 megapixel camera and the thermal camera that's reading at 160 by 120. So you do have a less cost involved in there, but also you have more of a simple thermal camera that doesn't particularly put you in a position to where you have to worry about, am I going to be breaking any kind of laws like HIPAA laws by storing data. A couple features that are on here that I did want to mention is the screen is not this high resolution screen you might see on a Nikon or Canon or Fuji or Sony camera, for instance. It's only a 640 by 40 resolution on the screen, and which is weird because you have an 8 megapixel camera up front. Also, keep in mind that whenever you do use one of these cameras, there's always a mandatory or recommended startup time before you do your first scan. And in this situation, the HIKVISION is roughly right around 15 minutes. So what you want to do is you would basically plug it up, you let it charge, and then the charge will last up to about 4 to 5 hours depending on how you're using it. If you turn on Bluetooth, which is built in here to communicate with an app, then that Bluetooth is going to drain your battery down some. So you're looking more on the 4-hour range versus the 5-hour without Bluetooth activated. From what I could tell based off of the information that I had saw before, it's a very simple system. The menu system is very easy to use, and the buttons are very tactile. They feel really good. So I feel like you'll get some good feedback here. It does support audio system where it will give you a audio notification if someone does exceed that temperature range that you've already set in scale. A lot of thermal cameras require a black box or a black body that is somewhere in the frame behind the subject that you're scanning. This camera does not require that. It can work in conjunction with it, but it doesn't require it at all. So the nice thing about this is a truly standalone system, and the range that it's going to meet is going to be anywhere from that 0.5 degrees in Celsius or 0.9 degrees in Fahrenheit, because you can change this depending on what country that you're in. So there's also a minimum distance that you have to make sure you maintain before a minimum scan can be achieved. So in this case, there is a 3-foot minimum to 6-foot maximum. So 1 to 2 meters. And that's what you have to remember. So it's a good idea if you're going to do something like this, have it put on a tripod or have someone standing at the door and scanning people, that they have line markers already kind of set up to where you're standing and where they're going to be. The good thing is, at that 6-foot range, you are still meeting guidelines when it comes to our safe distancing measures that we have to have in place. So if you're standing 6 feet away, you put a marker 6 feet from you. Now all of a sudden you can scan that person as they come in and you can welcome into your business. So I'm going to stop it right now and I'm going to jump into a live demo.